Oh, hello there, outliers. Niiamah Young here, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey. Yeah, that feels good. It's good to be here on another Outliers Edge roundtable conversation. We have three incredible outliers who are going to be sharing their experiences of up leveling themselves and the journeys that they are on as they continue to play a bigger game than they did the day before. And so I'd love for you to get a chance to get to know each of the outliers that are here. Why don't we get this thing started here in this way? I'll start off with you, Lewis. If you can, would you mind sharing with us a bit about you and the game you're currently playing?
For sure, for sure. Well, I guess my story starts, back in my college career, basketball. My first love was basketball. It was all I thought about growing up, and it kind of pushed me to where I am now, being a natural leader. Captain of my team, all star, all Canadian. Went overseas for a little bit, came back. Then I started to like build myself, build my own brand, kind of. Build Believe Succeeds, what we started to be, and I had my what's it called? My kids I would train, um, personal training, teams, whatnot, and it was going well. And then COVID hit, and it stopped a lot of it. A lot of the training, a lot of back stuff had to stop. So during that time, I decided to kind of pivot, and I decided to write my story. Right, I'm very creative. I have a lot of different outlets, so I decided to write a book, Verbal's Notes. And from there, a lot of people were like, you should do a podcast, talk about a pod. But I wasn't really sure how to go about my podcast. So I kind of leveraged what I do well, which is play sports and deal with people. And it's usually motivating. I'm usually motivating, my players, my athletes. And I was saying, how can I touch people in a different way? Not just athletes, but all people. Because I started when you're in the work field that I'm in. I'm a manager. You come across a lot of people, and you see that some are very happy, some are very sad, some are depressed. But everyone needs to hear positivity. Everyone needs that person to be positive. And when I have conversations with my employees and I say something positive to them, they really held on to that, and I really like that feeling that it gave for me. So in a selfish way, I kind of do it to make people feel better, obviously, and I think that's the way we grow our any type of business is as long as we're giving back, as long as we're helping other people. I think that way your business will grow organically, and that's what I've been doing. So when I started Motivation by Bill Believe Succeed, my podcast 2 years ago, it's more about just inspiring and motivating people, letting people know that there's someone there that cares, someone there that's pushing them to go after their own goals, and continuously reminding them you can do it, you can do it. Build on your aspiration, build on your goals, believe in yourself, and you will succeed. Right. So build, believe, succeed is where it's from. So that's a little bit about me.
Love it, Lewis. We're going to be playing with that and more in this conversation. I appreciate you being here, and we'll keep growing from there. Why don't we come to you, Dazzle? Give us a chance to get to know more about you and the game you're currently playing.
Okay, my name is Dazzle, and I'm an emotional intelligence coach. That's like the crux of my podcast. But it didn't start as a podcast. It didn't even start as emotional intelligence. It started as curiosity. I just wanted to know why people act the way they do and why it seemed like some relationships would work and some would not work. I just really wanted to understand the dynamics around relationships at work, at home, and all of those. So that's what led me down the path of psychology and all of those. And I started to see how emotional intelligence is just at the center of it all. I mean, I have a theory that if everybody decided to be empathetic, would live in a better world. If I make the decision from my room, you make the decision from your room, we'll just have a better world. So I spend every day teaching people about emotional intelligence. I've written books, I have materials, I help people find out where they are with self awareness, self regulation, empathy, social skills, your motivation and resilience. I just desire to see people really own their emotion and not treat it as and not treat their emotions as something they need to fight, something they need to bottle up and all that. I just want to kick out stereotypes around emotions and how you can treat your emotions as signals, as message carriers for bettering your relationships and all of those. And I live in Nigeria where, I mean, when you're growing up, one of the things you have to learn very quickly is how to keep emotions in your back pocket. So it's really hard to teach people that, what you learned when you were growing up is something you need to unlearn, and you need to start treating yourself differently, so would have reduced cases of mental health issues and all of those. So yes, that's where I am. I teach individuals, businesses, organizations on how to do better with emotional intelligence.
That's really fascinating to me. And I'll be curious to see. Uh, I have a thing about like letting someone's like being actually like lead the conversation, if that makes sense. So I'm very curious to see like how we all get to play with emotional intelligence. It's really fun in this like kind of like round table environment. We could be bringing a bunch of different like people from all over the world with different ways of seeing things, and I'm really curious to see how we all like navigate with that in this conversation. Dazzle, thank you for being you. Thank you for playing the game that you do, and I'm excited for our conversation. Dr. Nakia, like, give us a chance to get to know you. Like, help us see more about you in the game you're currently playing.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be a part of the discussion. So, I am a transformative coach. My company is Victorious Living Solutions, where I empower high potential leaders to crush their goals despite life's challenges and live victoriously. That's pretty much it. I serve with workshop facilitation, subject matter experts, interviews, and also I have some online courses, and I have a podcast by the same name, Victorious Living Solutions.
So we got ourselves a round table here right now, I feel. And I am super excited to have our conversation. For a bit here, I wanted to the way we'll have this conversation is that I'll bring something into the mix and then let y'all just kind of explore it, right, with each other. Um, you'll see me muted for a good portion of it, and when it's time to take the conversation in a new place, we'll go ahead and do that. All right. So what I like to do here is like first like have us each bring in something that you're working toward right now. I would love to like use that as part of our filter for the conversation. And so I'll bring each of you into it individually. But what's a project that you're taking on? What's an aspiration that is like really lighting you up right now? Maybe it's even like it requires you to be courage. I almost think of it like, what's your sweaty palms project? Like, there's the one that's like super exciting, and then there's the one that's like the edge where you're like, ooh, like I really want this to work, but like it actually is calling me to become more than I have been in the past. Right. Tell us a little bit about that project. Tell us a little bit about your experience with it. I'll toss that into the space. Whoever wants to start talking first, feel free. My ask is when you talk this first time, remind them of your name so that when outliers are listening, they know like they're able to put the voice to the name as well. All right. All right.
All
Cool.
right.
So, cool.
Were you going to say something, Dazzle?
Yeah, yeah, I was going to. So that's over here. Um, so when you said a project that is making your palms sweat right now, I mean, I have one right now, and I'm trying to take emotional intelligence into the healthcare system in Nigeria.
Mm.
Now, this is a very personal project for me because I have been a victim of lack of emotional intelligence in our healthcare system. I remember in 2023, while I was really ill. I was carrying my child, and I remember a doctor telling me very dismissively that he wasn't sure that my fetus was still alive, and I should just go for a scan and then would come back. And then I remember another doctor telling me, don't be too excited. It's around this time that people get miscarriages and all of this stuff. So I have tons of experiences. One time I had an asthmatic attack and I was told, oh, we can't put you on the nebulizer yet. Can you wait a while? So a lot of lack of empathy, lack of self-regulation, and you know how important the healthcare system is, how it's important that people go in there and they come back empowered. Sometimes the distance between people getting better and not getting better is just a little, I understand how you feel. So I am currently, running surveys. I'm getting people to fill a form where they tell me about their experience in the healthcare system in Nigeria and how it has made them feel and all of those. And the intention after I gather this data is take on the take on the initiative to go into this hospitals. I intend to start with 10 hospitals per state in Nigeria, where we'll have, for some, virtual trainings, for some there are going to be physical trainings, where we really talk to medical professionals about the need to integrate emotional intelligence into their practices. So that's something I'm really working on. I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to the kickbacks as well. It's just a major project for this year, and I think I'm going to crush it. Yeah.
Oh, oh, I love that. When you said you're looking forward to the kickbacks as well, what is that? This, sorry, I'm on the same page.
All right. So, I mean, there's always a lot of this is how we do things, a lot of traditional approach to things. What's this emotional intelligence you're talking about? I just want to help people. I just want people to get better. What's my business with self-awareness and self-regulation and all that? So I look forward to having to navigate all of those parochial setbacks and all that. So, but I'm game. I mean, I'm all
Yeah,
up for it.
I can feel it, Dazzle. I can feel it. Like outliers. I want to just like put this in here right now, right? So some of us might be listening to this, and this, I'm really glad we started out with this question. I think like this is like an energy that I want to like keep cultivating. But it's like some of us might be thinking, but what if we run into pushback? What if they come back and they don't just take my idea right off the bat? And Dazzle comes in here and she's like, right off the bat, this is what I want to do. This is like I can't wait till this ends at like I can't wait
Yeah,
till we get into this here because like I'm actually in the game. The game
absolutely.
starts from that. And so I want to put that and point that out here, outliers, as a potential way to like navigate what might seem like a really big thing or where you might be running into roadblocks or pushback. Like to look at it and ask yourself, when was the last time I gave myself a chance to look at it as a game, as something to look
Yeah,
forward to. I'm excited for the game. I'm excited because you're excited, but it's also really like exciting. So I see you, and thanks for bringing that in here. We'll keep playing with this here because I think, yeah, we'll keep playing with that as we go along. Dr. Nakia,
absolutely.
like you're coming to me to go to on this one here. What's tell us about like your Sweaty Palms project right now, and let us know about like your thoughts on it. And it might be completely different from how Dazzle is going about it, and that's awesome.
Well, thank you. So my Sweaty Palms project, I would say, is developing another online course. I got my first one launched actually around this time last year, and it went really well. But I have some other signature courses and things that I want to develop for corporate spaces and for colleges and places like that. So it's a Sweaty Palms project because it took a lot out of me to launch the first one. And once you get it going and you get into a flow of talking about this signature talk, this signature subject matter, it's good, it's like, okay, but just getting it started and going from concept to okay, it's out. I'm just like, I know it has to be done, but I'm not looking forward to the process of everything it takes to get it done and all the several webinars that you have to do and just like, okay, Jesus, okay, I know I gotta do it, but Lord, I'm not. I'm excited for the results. I'm excited for, like, once I'm in the thing, but and just you guys are just meeting me. I'm one of those people that I shine more when I'm doing the thing, like being in front of people, interacting with people. I'm a teacher to my core. I actually used to be a public school teacher, but that's my thing. That's my jam. I love doing that part, but all the back stuff and that's not my forte. That's my husband. Shout out to my husband Rodney. That's his thing. So he's the one that is like, come on, babe, we gotta create the course. And like he's good at all the stuff I'm not good at, and I'm good at all the stuff he's not good at. He's an introvert. He will talk to people if he has to, not really his thing. So we help each other with that.
Yeah. So sounds like a true partnership. And sometimes I'll come in and I'll be like, uh, people are like, I just want to be a partner. And I'm like, well, what's your definition of partnering? Because different people have different definitions of it. And my general thing is like, it's like I don't need duplication. Like a real partner for me has all the stuff I don't, takes on all the stuff I don't want to, and that's like a real
Yeah.
partner. Like everything else, like I could do it myself. And so it's really cool to
Right.
hear that. Um, in a bit, I'm going to come back to this here because there's two things. One of them is it feels to me like as you're talking about this, it's like the sweaty palms part of it is like it's like you can do it. It's not
Yeah.
like it there's no it's not like it's like that's not the challenge of it all, like getting doing this and getting done. It's just like based on how you've done it in the past, like
Mhm.
you're like, I think this is what it's gonna be like, and you even know what that's gonna be like this time around. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to go. I want to go to Lewis and see what he has going on, but I want to like ask you some questions because I'm actively right now playing with the ideas of like how do you just serve like for like I'm like you. I'm like I could spend all this time working on like emails and try to get everything perfectly for the launch, but I'd rather just serve, right? And so like I would love to like bring that in a conversation and be like how, like what if you just kept serving and that
Mhm.
enrolled for you, you know? All right. Well, we'll see how we play with it here. Lewis, how about you? Like help us see for you. Like what's a sweaty palm project you got going on right now?
Ah, I think compare to Dazzle and Dr. Nikeya, it's
I will
not.
pause. I will pause right there, right there. There is like one of the cool thing here is like there's no need for comparison. And the reason that I like to bring people into this space like this here is because the people who are listening are in all different walks of whatever being an outlier means for them, right? And so like I'm very good with like let's go huge, but I've also learned that there's something really like the things that get me sweaty nowadays are about like staying with like what's right in front of me and actually doing it, like actually setting up the system, actually showing up for it. So, um, I guess my thing here is like please bring what's real for you because there's an outlier listening to this who is going to be like, yes, Lewis gets it. And even that, like that's exactly it. All right. Are you good with that? Like that's just going to go throughout this conversation. Like I'm going to keep showing how awesome we all are. But it's like the only way this works is if we just like, we all have our own ground on it. You good with that?
For sure, for
All
sure.
right, cool. Tell us, Lewis. Let us know about your sweaty palm project.
All right. So my sweaty prom project, I guess it's twofold, two completely different things. One, when it comes to the business area, me and my friends are actually trying to get into a whole new area that we're not comfortable in. Want to open up like renovate, what's it called? They've been doing another renovate like warehouses, turn them into basketball courts, turn them into an area where you can do sports and stuff like that, right? So we're trying to get into that. So that's very, I guess, makes my palms sweaty because it's an area that I really have no experience in. It's a big investment, a lot of risks going on with the economics right now, right? So to 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 be brave and jump into something new, that's difficult, and the time's going to take, and at some point, it's going to be okay. Let's put aside my job and make this, our full time thing. And thinking of that is kind of scary as well, right? Getting into that new water, starting to swim, it's difficult, but we know at the same time, I know once we get into it, once we start doing it, we're going to shine. My other sweaty problem project, which I think is more close to my heart, is motivating and pushing my family members to do, the things that we've had these one-on-one conversations on, a lot of things about fitness, the pushing themselves in their careers, going back to school, stuff like that. And I realized a lot of time that people will say things and they need a true friend to push them, a true friend that's going to keep bringing it up, keep reminding them. And I know when you do that, there's times when arguments may flare up because of it. So you got to really think about how to say it, how to really put it out there properly, so you don't come across as a jerk or I don't know, right? So when I do a lot of my writing, a lot of my podcasting, and I give a message out, sometimes I take the time to think about these conversations I need to have with my friends or family members, and I put it into my podcast, right? So my next couple podcasts, I'm trying to fit it in there and give that message out there. So not only does it affect them, it's also going to affect anyone else that's in that similar situation. Because I believe all of us across the world are going through the same situation. We just don't know about it, right? My situation obviously is unique to me, but at the same time, I don't think that I'm the only one who's ever gone through it. I know there's been many people out there who's gone through it. So if I can touch one person's ear, one person's heart, and I can help them resolve that situation, then I think that's my work's done right there. So those are my sweaty palm things.
I love it. I love it. As you were talking, Lewis, so what was going through my mind is I'm like, please, when this episode comes out, like store it somewhere so you can come back in like 5 years or 10 years to be like, oh, I remember back when,
Mm-hmm.
I remember back when, because like, um, I don't know. I got as you were talking through this, I was like, this my belief factor, my belief in my believe in factor, both went up quite a bit here. I'm like, oh, this is. I'm glad we're documenting it right now because this is like when we come back in 5, 10 years, it's gonna be really awesome to come to. Thank you, Lewis. Appreciate you. So. Like I'm really excited, and I really feel like that excitement is because I'm like, oh, we're talking about the future things that you're created. As we do this, right? This is like an elevated conversation because we're talking toward like what we want to build out there. But like let's not leave the depth of who we are being throughout it. Lewis, you talked about courage, right? Like it's going to take courage to go and do these kind of things here, right? Like so like let's bring in the realness of it as well because I think that's where outliers live as well. Like they have big huge ambitions, and like for what it is for them in their world, and we see this thing on the external side of things, but then navigating it internally becomes a whole different game, you know? And so, as we like for each of you here, I'm really curious about going back to that project that we just brought in here. How are y'all allowing yourselves to do it in a way that is like in alignment to you? I'm really curious about that. How do y'all take on this specific project and others in a way that's in alignment to you? And what I'll do is I'll put that question in here and then I'm going to go on mute and just let y'all build off each other and and see where the conversation goes for a little bit. So anyone want to get us started?
I'll go. So for me, I pretty much look at the issues that mean the most to me, the things that I am just like super passionate about. I'll just get on my soapbox about because like for there's a reason that passion is there. That's a problem that God has called me to solve. It's like if something's bothering you that much, you're like, why doesn't someone do something about that? That's because it's you. You're the someone that's supposed to do something about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Dazzle,
agree.
like the healthcare thing for you, I totally relate to that because I had an interesting experience when I had my last pregnancy too. So I felt you on that. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. It's a passion project for me. I intend to deploy my resources into it. I do not even need them to pay a dime to attend this trainings. I just need medical professionals in Nigeria to come learn about emotional intelligence. And the intention is to make sure that nobody else walks into the hospital and have the same story as mine.
Mm.
So I just want to make sure that I do my part to make sure that we're not having this type of conversation in 5 years from now. Let empathy not just be something on the walls of our hospitals. Let it be like the core of the practice as well. So it's very personal. It's a part of me. It's very personal to me. I really find it difficult to separate this from my personal life. I mean, it's not a business endeavor. It's a passion endeavor. I just want to make sure that we get it right in that area.
Yeah.
When you say, like, you both mentioned passion, right? And I feel deeply connected with that because as an athlete, we're passionate about what we do. That's how you become good. I think anyone who's really good at anything is very passionate about it. But at the same time, that same passion that we have, I think, can sometimes blind us. So we're going at something passionately, and we think we're doing it the right way. We think we're doing it for all the good reasons. But then there's people out there that are like, no, what you're doing is wrong, or you're going about it too hard. You're pushing me away, or whatever that is. How do you guys deal with that, if you guys even deal with that?
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, I totally agree with that. I think your passion can make you look away from reality. Sometimes you're passionate about what does not exist. Like you think there's a problem somewhere, but there's really no problem. Which was why, in my own case, I had to make sure that I got the opinions of other people. Just what if is just peculiar to me? What if every other person thinks they have the best kind of healthcare here in Nigeria? So I needed to hear from other people to be sure it's not just a personal endeavor. I'm not just running on what I think is true, but what every other person has also experienced. And yeah, that was for me like some sort of litmus test to be sure it's not just me taking out my personal frustration and anger on what I experienced on the healthcare system, but to be sure that every other person has similar stories. I don't know if that kind of answers your question.
Yeah, you made sure that other people were going through the same struggles before you really
Yes.
went after it.
Yeah, yeah. So I had to hear from other people. I collected the data, asked questions on a Google form just to get people talk about these things and let me know how it has been for you as well.
And I commend that because I don't do that. I don't do that. When I get really passionate about something, it's like my boys brought up the idea about getting the place and renovating it, turning it into the gym, and I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Okay, how much money are we putting
I
down?
think I
Where are we
think
getting
it's
it? I'm
also
doing this.
the emotional intelligence part of me that knows that the validity of an emotion does not mean you have to act on it.
Yeah.
Because it's true does not mean you have to give it action. What if it's true and then you take a pause and you realize it didn't really exist, it was just one of those things,
Mhm.
right? So I think it's still the emotional intelligence part of me that made sure, oh, I have to do my due diligence to be sure that this is something that really exists.
I
And
think
Lewis, you were
that's
saying like I was really kind of curious. So like someone came up to you, they're like, "Hey, we should totally do this," and then you just started jumping in. Tell us more about that.
no. So it's not. I wouldn't say just a person. It's one of my closest friends,
Yeah.
right? So if he says something, I believe him. I understand. I trust him that he does his due diligence before going into anything big. So because of that, I'm like, you know what? It's a good idea. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And I want to just move forward now. Let's move forward. Where they're like, oh, let's think about this. Let's think about that. Let's take the risk, all kind of stuff. But I'm like, oh, let's just do this. Let's get started. And as it's rolling, we'll figure this out. Right? That's how I
Yeah.
am. We'll figure this
Yeah.
out. Let's get going. But as
Yeah,
we have
absolutely.
more conversation, they'll give a lot of good points. Whereas we should take our time. When you're getting into real estate, when you're getting into businesses, we want to make sure that what you're doing is correct because there is money to be lost. And my thing is that it's just money. I'm not rich or anything, but all the time it's just money. Like if I'm going to spend it here, I'm going to spend it somewhere else. I'd rather spend it doing something that I'm trying to get done that's going to benefit my family and everyone else. And in the process, if I end up losing a little bit of it, oh well, that's how it is. I'm gonna live it. I'm gonna learn. I've lost a lot of money in the past, doing stocks and stuff, and I've gained a lot of money back. So I'm okay with certain risk that my friends are not always okay with, and I need I need that emotional intelligence sometimes, I guess, to keep me in check and to remind me, okay, relax. Listen to what they're saying as well, taking how their feelings are, the risk factors that they're willing to take, because the risk that I've taken in my life, in my financial life, they haven't, not even close, right? So I have to sometimes step back and understand, yeah, this is why they're a little bit hesitant, to do this, and then that's a lesson that I need to learn and I guess remember more often as I go through these journeys.
So I get really curious with that like Nakia, I saw a little smile come up for you. Do you want to say anything on that first?
No, I was gonna say just when I mentioned my passion topics, one thing to go back to what Lewis was saying about how I make sure I'm not presenting it in a wrong way, because I'm a mental health coach, and so a lot of the things that I'm passionate about is things that I've gone through and I've grown through, and I don't start teaching on it until I can teach from a healed space. Nobody wants to hear from someone who, like, you can tell that they're visibly still like working on some things in that area. Like, I don't want to bleed on the people that I'm trying to serve. And so that's one way. Like, I can take note that I'm really passionate about it and I can start to develop it behind the scenes, but it will not come to market, or it will not be a part of my, like, I'm doing this now out to people until God has dealt with my heart on it and I'm able to teach from a healed space. And that's how I avoid um, being off-putting or overbearing in the way that I present. Because we know how we can get sometimes when we're talking about something we're really passionate about. And I always want to present from a space of love and wisdom. So yeah.
So I'm hearing all three of you here, right? Even that last bit, and one of the things I want to put out here is to like see, like for each of you to see your process, right?
Mhm.
Um, and outliers. So I'm going to talk to you right now, which is like as I'm playing this back for everyone, I want you to think about your process, especially when it's from passion to creation, right? Because each of you had something a little bit different going on, right? Dazzle came in and she's like passionate, like, and I'm gonna check this passion real quick and like go do due diligence. I'm gonna go do research. I'm gonna have you fill out a Google form. I'm not just gonna like meet you at the coffee shop and ask. I'm like, nope. I want you to document it, put in the responses here, so on and so forth, right? And collect some additional data and then run all in. And she's like, and your thing is like, this is so important to me that like I don't need to get paid for this. I'm like, I just need this to happen, right? Lewis, I was hearing something from you that was really interesting. Uh, there was actually quite a couple things that were really interesting. The first one was when you're like, it wasn't just some random person who brought this up. It was my boy. It was my best friend on this one here, right? And I thought that was really cool because it's like what I got from you was like you're really great. Like the way that you partner is really interesting, right? Because you're like this person's gonna do like I trust this person to have done the due diligence, right? I don't need to do that part again, right?
Yeah.
Uh, I also got from you that like you have a different relationship with risk than other people around you. And as you were talking, this idea came up to me. That someone said something to me that like I didn't get. Sorry, I didn't realize before he said it. And he said, "It's like money renews. Like money is a renewable resource." And that was something that was like wow to me. I didn't realize like I had been holding it as like almost like finite. But it's like, hey, if you keep doing this, like money can go out, but it can also come back in, right? And I feel like you have that within you. You're like, I've made a lot of money, I've lost lot of money. Like that does not mean that we shouldn't go and pursue this as it goes on. And so I'm hearing that from you and some of like your style of things and how you show up as a partner and like some of the things that you bring to the table in the relationships that you have going on here. Uh, and Dr. Nakia, like I'm hearing with you, one, um, I get that you have a lot of energy, right? Honestly, I get that you have a lot of energy, and I get that you also like you do a lot of work to make sure that like people can digest it, and I respect you for this. And at the same time, I'm also like, like what would happen if you just like let the volcano you know, we it's like should I be a little fire because people just want to be a little bit warm. It's like you go create new worlds, you know. You might have to take some things down in a bit, but like that's how like our islands come to be, you know. So just like I could feel that right here that came out. So
Dang, I
that was
thought I was hiding that.
uh,
It's the red highlights that
it,
gave it away.
it,
Bold
it's
highlights, bold lipstick. I'm trying. I'm trying.
it's that I think that's the thing with me. I'm like I can feel you trying though in other ways like in other ways I'm like but what if you like I don't know like I get that I get that you do the work. You said something about coming from a place of love. That part, I really felt like you're like, all right, let me take this passion, let me take this energy, and then transmute it into something that like really can be serving for people. I get that part of you where it's like it's not just energy, it's not just raw on like it's like transmuted energy that is coming from a place of serving all the way through. You know, I
That's a
like
whole other discussion. That's a
in which way?
I'm a true outlier, y'all.
Yeah,
I'm a true outlier. And
yeah,
I can be so excited about, just like what God has given me to share. And I'm just like, yes, I want to share it. Um, and I can feel that this is a healthy space and a safe space, and you're encouraging us to do that. But everybody's not like you, bro. Everybody not.
yeah.
Some people are not ready.
Most people aren't ready.
So I have to, it's a multi-layered onion. It's part of me
Yeah.
just being like, I am here to serve and I'm here to, add to the discussion. And I, can be a little loquacious. And so I'm not trying to dominate the discussion. But it's also me, being wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove. It's like, let me kind of feel out the environment and feel how much of because we can't always let the volcano erupt. And I've been in spaces where I've just been like being myself and being I'm never not myself, but you know what I mean? Just kind of doing what I do. And slowly but surely feeling the energy seep out of the room and being just kind of like confused, like what just happened? What, you know? And so that's one of those things. I feel energy and I respond in kind. That's not what I'm doing today, but I'm just saying that
No, I get you.
I've had to do that because I've been just being coming from a place of love and wanting to serve and wanting to help and people not receiving it well or trying to gaslight me into thinking it's something else. Have you guys ever been in a situation where like people get intimidated by your confidence, but it has nothing to do with anything you did? It's just them seeing you operate in your full self made them insecure. That are just that and growing from it. They want to make you feel like you're the bad guy because your confidence triggered their whatever they had going on. Yeah, that's the best way I can describe
it. If you're listening to this right now, there's just like a bunch of nods, like yep. We've
all been there.
We've all been there, you know. And I think,
and they slap the proud tag on you. Like she's so proud.
We have different like we all I think the thing about this like we all have had our ways of doing it. It's why I call Outliers Edge and I bring on outliers. Like it's not average people's like I don't know medium, you know, like because we've been there. We get that, and I think that's why Dr. Nikeya, I'm really upfront about saying it because I'm like in my mind I'm like I just think you're like go find different rooms. Go find rooms where where your energy is like the smallest there, and you're going all in, and you're like, whoa, people are doing that, that's
one of my goals this year. Finding different rooms, it's time to explore.
Let's talk because I'm curating this kind of stuff. Like I see you, I'm like, yeah, and I'm like you have a lot going on, and there's even more, you know. So there's like it's not to get all up in there, but it's the thing for me was just I'm like. I hear you. You're right. Most people cannot handle it. Like, y'all, I have a podcast that comes out 7 days a week where I invite up to six podcast panels, people on it. I had 800 people sign up for it between September 1st of 2024 and December 31st of 2024. So in a 4 month period, you know, like most people out there, like, I don't get how you could do this. And I used to like only have one episode every week with one person, and people are like, it's too long, and so on and so forth. And I started to realize, I was like, oh, because this isn't for you right now. You know,
Yeah.
you're my friend and you want to listen to it, and you're like, can you make it as convenient as possible for me? And I'm like, I don't think I could. I could work so hard, but this isn't for you. And no matter how I dress it up, it ain't gonna be for you, you know?
That part.
Uh,
Mhm.
and so like what's been a lot more fun has been like, so I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna go find the people who this is for, and I'm gonna keep finding keep curating and finding opportunities and so on and so forth. Like and have conversations like this. But we can say, like, have y'all ever had this experience? And everyone's like, yes. Like, like we know this. You know, other people are like,
Mhm.
oh, I never really speak up, so I never really know what you're talking about. I just like to like hang back and look at it. So I am so grateful right now for each of you because there's a thing that I'm trying to get done here with Outliers Edge that's really hard that I haven't figured out how to do just yet. And this moment, these experiences right here is what is at the core of it, which is like how do you continue to up level when you're already considered an outlier and you don't want to become an outcast. You don't want to
Yeah.
become an outsider, right? And so like constantly we're playing against this invisible barrier as to like how far can we take it. So yes, you're going to see me like capture that here because like the whole purpose of this is to be like you're already an outlier. Like what's stopping you from going even further? Because you're still going to be an outlier, you know? And how much more does the world get to benefit? Dazzle's like, you know what? Everyone in Nigeria should be able to like benefit from doctors and a healthcare system with emotional intelligence, you know, because you decided to show up for it. And it might be years of doing this, and it might be work and a lot of work, you know, but like this is the kind of stuff, and I'm really speaking to you all here, and I'm also speaking to you
Mhm.
out loud if you're listening. This is the kind of things that we and we alone can do. Anyone can do it because anyone can make themselves an outlier. This is a little thing there, but it's the thing that like when you step in outliers, like this is our leadership that's missing. So just know that like Dr. Nikia, like whew, I appreciate you so much, and I get so excited to be in spaces with all of you because of who you bring. Like y'all being you brings out even more of me. We're about to like end this conversation, but before I do, I want to like give each of you like a space to do it. We have about like 2 minutes left in the conversation before we like all together, but I want to open up space for anything that's flowing through you. And it could be, Niiamah, you are completely wrong. You have no clue what you're talking about. And like that's fine too, because like I grow when we grow. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I'll start. I think I love this space right now about what we're doing. What I love really about it is the positivity, though. I'm hearing you using words like "I appreciate you," "I appreciate you," "I appreciate." Those things are very motivational, very positive. And I don't think enough people hear this, right? Especially in the work area, the workforce. You hear employees saying that their supervisors and managers don't appreciate them. Don't There's not positive energy in the workplace. It needs to be like this, where people can open up and say what's on their mind, speak freely, and not feel like a tag's gonna be placed on them as being proud because you're speaking up, right? This is an environment that I love to just be able to share what's on your mind and get it out there. Because when you get it out there, you're actually bringing it into creation, right? Putting it there. So I just want to say this is a fabulous experience, and I'm glad I'm part of it.
Anything else
Yeah.
anyone wants to say before we wrap up for today?
I wanted to encourage the outliers watching to, how do I want to say it? Okay, here's the best way I can say it. The only way that you're going to really know who's for you and who's not is to turn it up a notch and be like, bring all of yourself to the forefront. And then just sit back and watch how people respond to that. The people who are like, oh my gosh, that is so inspiring. Thank you for sharing that. Those are your people. The people who are like, are you sure you really want to do all that? Like, you be doing a lot. You doing too much. Swipe left. Those are not your people.
For
So
sure,
yeah.
sure, 100% agree with that.
That was anything for you? And then I'll
Yeah,
wrap us
yeah.
off.
I just want to say that just do what you have to do, regardless of what anybody thinks. I mean, it's okay for them not to see. Your sight is enough. People would go with you. Your sight is just enough. And I mean, I think I'm one of the best people to tell you this because I'm in a field that is unpopular in the country that I am. When I speak about emotional intelligence, people do not really nod their heads like this. It's like, what are you saying, and all that. I live in Nigeria, but my podcast has over 50% listens in the United States. I have never been to the United States all my life. And I put out my podcast here in Nigeria. But I mean, it's not really a popular thing. Nobody wants to really sit down to really learn about emotional intelligence. But I'm creeping in on people little by little, going with the people that really want to go with me. And I'm just fine. I've been doing this is my fifth year and I enjoy it. I'm not going to stop. So yeah, just do it. Your site is enough.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Dazzle, I'm sorry. As you were speaking, I heard um, you are fighting the spirit of pride. You are fighting the reason that the people you are, not you, you're fighting against the people you're trying to serve, the
Yeah.
resistance you feel. You're talking about emotional intelligence. And the reason that some people are not receptive to that is because that looks and feels and smells a lot like accountability, and people don't like that. That
Yes.
pride, that spirit of pride on the inside of them is the resistance you're feeling.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I wouldn't have given you that if it wasn't needed. So keep
Mm,
telling people that truth and let them choke on it.
thank you.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And so, like, I think that is a great way for us to wrap up today's conversation. Look, outliers, what we're going to do is this. One, what a convo here. We have a thing that we call the one person, one conversation at a time initiative, where in addition to like going out and sharing this out with everyone that you want to, then letting the whole world know about how awesome this conversation was, we ask you to also slow it down and find one person in your life who would be deeply impacted by the conversation that took place. Like it's not just the words that were said, but the being that like the interaction of it all. And and I have a deep-seated belief that if we're able to do this in this way, there's one thing about big numbers, but there's another thing about big impact. And I think there's an impact that's going to come in when someone knows that, hey, I was thinking about you and you've seen me and this conversation in particular would be for you. So if you can share this with one person in your life who would really get a benefit from this year, it'd mean the absolute world to me. All right. So we're going to wrap up our conversation here. The way that we do this is that you can share the outliers are taken care of. If you can share the best way for outliers to continue the journey down with you, and then also one insight that you got from this conversation, we'll use that to wrap us all up. Okay. Why don't we start with Dr. Nakia, and then we'll go to Dazzle, and we'll wrap up with Lewis. We'll do this in like the next like 2 minutes here.
You said you just wanted to, I'm sorry, I missed
Your
it.
best contact info and an insight that you got from this conversation, if anything. And this is for you, like something that you're walking away with.
Okay, so awesome. You guys can find me at victoriousliving.solutions.com. That's my website. And then my handle on Instagram is at Dr. Nikeya. I really enjoyed this conversation, and there's so many things that I'm walking away with, but just how good it feels on a cellular level to be amongst people who are your people, or who see what you bring and say things like, I appreciate you, bring more, I feel you holding back, bring more. Like, that is so refreshing to me. And so that's one of the main things I'm taking away from this conversation, more than anything that was said. And a lot of great, juicy things were said. The biggest thing I'm taking away is the feeling I feel being in this space today. So thank you all for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Dazzle?
All right. So I think the easiest way to reach me is through my Instagram, Dazzle Speaks. So you'd find me with the same handle across all platforms. And what I'm taking away from today is the last thing Dr. Nikia said to me. I've decided to take it as the word of the Lord, and I'll be running with it. Yeah, so I really appreciate it. And it's having this conversation on this platform is the boost I didn't know I needed for the start of the year. So yeah,
Mm.
thank you.
We
Amen.
got you. Thank you. All right, Lois, bring us home.
All right. So you could find me or you reach me at BillBelieveSucceed_2 at hotmail.com. My Instagram is Lewis_more2. And if you want to know more about me, you should check out my book, Verbal's Notes. Find on Amazon, Apple, wherever. And my podcast is Motivation by Bill Believe Succeed. You can find it on Spotify and Amazon, iRadio, wherever you listen to. What I got out of this, honestly, what the first thing that really comes to my mind is I'm not alone. That's what the first thing that comes to my heart comes to my mind. I'm not alone. And it's such a good feeling to know that there's other people out there with your same mindset, that has that positive attitude, and that's trying to just get their life going, get their businesses going, just doing things, and not always necessarily are surrounded by money. It's doing things that you feel is right, and it's coming straight from your heart, from that passionate part side of you, that creative side of you that we all need to let out in different ways. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, y'all. We really are not alone. We really, really are not. And I appreciate you all. Thank you for playing the games that you do. Outliers, know that you're not alone either. And remember this until the next time we talk here. Be you on purpose. Journey on.